We need to talk about hydration breaks. The FIFA World Cup is supposed to be football at its purest. The best players, the biggest moments, and 90 minutes of uninterrupted drama. But during the 2026 World Cup, something has quietly become one of the tournament's most controversial features. Hydration breaks. What began as a player welfare measure has sparked a debate among fans, pundits, and broadcasters around the world. Are these breaks genuinely necessary? Do they improve player safety? Or are they gradually changing the very nature of football? What are hydration breaks? For those unfamiliar, hydration breaks are short stoppages that typically occur around the 23rd and 67th minute of matches. Players gather near the touchline, receive fluids, listen to instructions from coaching staff, and briefly recover before play starts again. The official justification is straightforward. The World Cup is being played across North America during the summer months, with some venues experiencing high temperatures and humid conditions. Protecting player welfare is therefore a reasonable objective. But the controversy begins when these breaks are applied universally rather than only during extreme conditions. And that's where many supporters have started asking questions. 1. The momentum problem. Perhaps the biggest criticism is that hydration breaks disrupt momentum. Football is unique because it flows continuously. Unlike basketball, American football, or cricket, there are very few scheduled interruptions. Momentum is often one of the most important factors in a match. We've all seen games where one team suddenly takes control. The crowd gets louder, the pressure builds, the opposition begins making mistakes. A goal feels inevitable, but imagine a team dominating possession in the 22nd minute. They've pinned their opponents back and are creating chance after chance. Then suddenly the referee blows the whistle. Everyone stops. The defending team regroups. Players catch their breath. Coaches provide instructions. The momentum completely disappears because of the interruption. What was a sustained period of pressure becomes a completely different game. Let's watch a few live examples from the games played so far. Mexico versus South Africa, the very first game of the World Cup. Look at the field tilt. South Africa were trying to build a little bit of momentum until the hydration break interrupted it. Canada versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. Bosnia build momentum and they are rewarded with a goal. But boom, a hydration break is called immediately after the goal was scored. Canada's manager and players get a chance to regroup, possibly change tactics, and there's a clear change in the field tilt again. Brazil versus Morocco. Morocco score after a brilliant pass and move in the 21st minute, and a hydration break is called in the 23rd minute. Brazil was slowly gaining momentum, but the break interrupts it and hands over the momentum back to Morocco. Maybe it was the goal, but you cannot rule out the impact of the hydration break. Haiti versus Scotland. Here's another one from the same day. A hydration break is called around the 25th minute. Scotland regroup, gain momentum, and go on to score in the 29th minute. Ivory Coast versus Ecuador. The hydration break happens in the 24th minute. Look at the complete shift in momentum. Perhaps the most obvious one was the Germany versus Curaçao game. Curaçao start building up some momentum against the mighty Germans and managed to score in the 21st minute. However, the hydration break completely destroys their momentum and Germany come roaring back, winning the game 7-1 in the end. These are only a few matches I've highlighted, although many more games have been affected in a similar way. For many fans, these interruptions remove part of the unpredictability and emotional flow that make football special. 2. Is football becoming a timeout sport? Another concern is the increasing tactical influence of managers during these breaks. Traditionally, football managers have limited opportunities to directly influence matches once they begin. Apart from substitutions and occasional instructions from the touchline, players are expected to solve problems themselves. This creates uncertainty, it creates jeopardy in the match, and it rewards teams that can think under pressure. Hydration breaks change the dynamic. Managers now receive an additional opportunity to reorganize their teams, adjust tactics, identify weaknesses, and deliver instructions. In some matches, these breaks have looked remarkably similar to timeouts seen in other sports. The question becomes simple. At what point does football stop being football? 3. The broadcasting divide. One of the more fascinating consequences has emerged. Away from the pitch, different broadcasters have handled hydration breaks in completely different ways. In the United States and several other markets, television networks have used these stoppages as advertising opportunities. Viewers suddenly find themselves watching commercials before returning to the action. Meanwhile, many broadcasters in the United Kingdom have continued providing uninterrupted coverage, filling the break with analysis, replays, or discussion from commentators. This creates a strange viewing experience. Two fans watching the exact same match can experience it very differently depending on where they live in the world. One audience remains immersed in the game. Another is temporarily pulled away by commercial breaks. Football has traditionally been one of the few major sports where viewers are guaranteed long periods without advertising interruptions. Hydration breaks risk changing that relationship between broadcasters and fans. 4. Do all matches really need them? Perhaps the most practical criticism concerns the conditions themselves. If a match is being played in temperatures above 30 or 35 degrees Celsius with significant humidity, hydration breaks make obvious sense. Most fans would accept them without hesitation. But what about matches being played in temperatures closer to 21 degrees Celsius? What about stadiums equipped with air conditioners? What about games where environmental conditions are perfectly comfortable? Many supporters struggle to understand why the same rules should apply in every single match regardless of conditions. If player welfare is truly the objective, should hydration breaks not be reserved for situations where heat actually presents a meaningful risk? The perception among some fans is that a temporary emergency measure is slowly becoming a permanent feature. 5. The money question. And this brings us to the biggest concern of all. Money. Every additional stoppage creates opportunities. Opportunities for advertising. Opportunities for sponsorships. Opportunities for broadcasters. Opportunities for stadium operators. Opportunities for commercial partners. Football is already one of the most lucrative sports in the world. Naturally, many fans are suspicious whenever new interruptions are introduced into the matchday experience. The fear is not necessarily what hydration breaks are today. The fear is what they could become tomorrow. If these breaks generate significant revenue, would domestic leagues eventually consider introducing them? Could European competitions follow suit? What if European stadiums introduce these hydration breaks in order to boost their food? Hydration breaks were introduced with the stated aim of protecting players. And when extreme temperatures genuinely threaten player welfare, few would argue against sensible precautions. However, their impact goes far beyond simply handing players a bottle of water. They affect momentum, they alter tactics, they influence broadcasting, and potentially create new commercial opportunities. The real debate is not about a 2-minute water break. It's about what football might look like in the near future.